Hello and welcome to a series of Six L's podcasts, Six L's shorts from Cannes 2025. Two big themes from Cannes this year are attention and AI. And one medium that's certainly getting a lot more attention these days are mobile phones for a long time and more recently CTV. So I'm delighted today to be speaking to Lauren Barnett from Samsung Ads. Lauren, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Feeling very lucky to be speaking to you in this beautiful setting.
It really is beautiful. Thank you for hosting. And as you can probably see if you're watching rather than listening, there's ridiculous yachts in the background, beautiful sunshine, sea. So we are very fortunate indeed, and we mustn't forget that. But thank you for hosting. It's a lovely spot. I could stay here all day, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
So Lauren, can you give us a little bit of a background of your career to date? And for those that don't know, give us an introduction to who Samsung Ads are, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So from my point of view, I've been around now for over a decade in the advertising world. So I started my career actually in mobile, funnily enough. So very much on the ad tech side of things. Did a bit of a stint at News UK and then obviously joined Samsung. So have got a full portfolio of the whole landscape, which is really, really nice. Been at Samsung now for coming up to 4 years and have just recently moved on to heading up the UK team, which is super, super exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Looking at what Samsung do, I mean, hopefully everyone listening to the podcast has heard of Samsung. I think it's quite hard to miss. It's obviously a household name and brand that's been around for so many years. Started actually making noodles, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah. Back in the day,
that was
where it all began in Korea. But we've obviously moved on a long, long way since then. Samsung Ads is obviously an advanced TV solution. And it's all fundamentally powered by our data. So we've got a very unique data set, which is built on 70 million devices that we have across Europe, which means that we've got first-party data, which underpins absolutely everything that we do.
Okay, so I worked at Opera briefly when CTV started sort of coming of age, if you like.
Yeah.
And the problem that existed back then is there was a lot of hype and a lot of excitement, but no inventory. Obviously, things have moved on a lot since then, and which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I hear marketers kind of like a criticism, if you like, that they level at CTV is that the targeting is it's quite difficult. Mm-hmm. And I was reading somewhere that Samsung Ads have basically developed a system where your Samsung Mobile and Samsung TV can talk to each other to improve that targeting. Could you talk a bit about how that works, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming back to the scale point that you made, first and foremost, we're really lucky because we're the manufacturer, all of our inventory is our own. So scale isn't an issue for us. As I said, we've got 70 million devices in Europe and over 10.5 million in the UK alone. So that scale is kind of key part of our offering. When it comes to our data, what's really exciting is exactly what you just mentioned and how we've recently enriched our TV data with mobile data. So there are over 20 million devices that are matched with our TVs, meaning that we're able to really
Is that worldwide, or UK?
That's Europe.
Okay.
Europe, yeah. So 10% are matched in the UK as well, so just over 1 million. But what that means is that we're really able to start understanding the user at a much deeper level. Before, our first-party data was solely reliant on their viewing behaviours. So we can start to understand people's interests. But actually, by having mobile data, we actually can take those interests and take them into action. Putting that into kind of a more easy-to-understand form. Lots of people will sit at home, kick back, watch the football, and we say, right, okay, they're really sporty. That isn't necessarily true. They might be sat watching the football with their mates, having a few pints. Actually, if they're then going away and utilising Strava or they've got a fitness app installed, we can then actually start to understand more about them as an
versus
individual
Just
user.
Eat or Deliveroo.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Very different users.
Yeah.
So we then start to understand much more about them, which then obviously in turn underpins the targeting that we can provide to our clients.
Okay, so how would like an FMCG brand be able to take advantage of that? So it does seem. I always thought that mobile and outdoor should work a lot more closely together, so the outdoor can be a lot more addressable. And obviously, it's great that you're able to link mobile data, which is in the main a lot richer than sort of a lot of CTV data.
Yeah.
So how would an FMCG brand perhaps be able to use your platform in order to sort of maybe drive awareness and drive people towards consideration?
Yeah.
What would that look like?
Absolutely. I mean, it obviously depends on who the target audience are that they're wanting to reach, right? A lot of FMCG brands are looking to target families. There are so many apps out there now which mums are downloading, dads are downloading to entertain their kids, for example. So we can start to understand maybe the age of the children in the household, as well as just the fact that they're watching family content on the TV. If you're looking at then how we can kind of take that through to ROI for our FMCG brands, what we've started kind of sampling with is implementing QR codes into our creative, so that when people are dual screening, which we know, I think it's over 70% of people when they're watching TV are on their phone, which doesn't surprise me because I am I
started that
scroller
in our household, and my wife didn't like it very much, and now my wife does it and I don't like it very much, and I thought, well, I started, it's my fault. But I think you can't possibly be concentrating on what we're watching and doing that, but she apparently can.
That sounds quite a familiar conversation I have with my husband. I'm told off all the time for scrolling, then being like, can you pause the TV a second, I need to know what's going on with the programme. But the fact that over 70% of people are doing it, so how can we then bake that into our TV advertising to ensure that we're getting that engagement and then driving people through to purchase? And one of the answers to that is implementing QR codes.
So if you were Tesco, let's say, for example, and you were trying to drive Sainsbury's shoppers to come to Tesco, could you basically base campaigns based on the fact that these mobile phones have the Sainsbury's app, not the Tesco app, and we're now going to serve CTV campaigns to those people to try and convert them?
Yeah, when it comes to competitor conquesting, that's something we've done for quite a while, actually. So we would actually look at targeting people often who've been exposed to the Sainsbury's ad on TV to ensure that therefore Tesco is staying front of mind. They're not just reliant on the ads that they last saw. When it comes to mobile, so it's all about app usage data and app install data. We could look at people who just have one sole app installed, but what we're doing at the moment isn't quite there yet. We're looking more holistically at people who have retail apps or supermarket apps installed. That's just from
so categories rather than specifics.
Exactly, categories. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were going to design the ideal campaign to run on Samsung ads, what would it look like?
Big question.
You can any brand you want. Yeah, you could choose any brand you want and any type of campaign. What would that look like?
So something we've been doing a lot at the moment is associating brands with big sporting events that they already have an association with. So something we did was around the Six Nations earlier this year, which was really exciting. What's fantastic about that is that from the moment you turn your TV on with Samsung, you can own that screen. So you will be the first thing that users see. You have 100% share of voice. And despite the landscape being so fragmented now, you know you're going to reach them before they're lost into some streaming content or a sports match, whatever it may be. So first and foremost, it would be roadblocking that home screen at a time that was key for you. So during the Six Nations, for example.
Yeah.
I then further support that by including Samsung TV Plus. Samsung TV Plus, for anyone who doesn't know, is Samsung's own FAST service. It's an app that's pre-installed on every single TV and has hundreds of channels of all different content. So everything from news to entertainment to lifestyle. The way that ads are served is very much like linear, so served within natural breaks in content. I'd make sure you've got kind of both of those formats on plan, so you've got those multiple touch points available to the user. And from a targeting perspective, we'd obviously be including the mobile data on top of the viewing data that we already have from our TVs.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of attention and AI, I said at the beginning that they seem to be very big topics.
They are.
In Cannes this year and sort of generally. What are you doing in those sort of spheres that, that advertisers might be interested in?
Yeah, so AI, as you say, I feel is like the word on everyone's lips at the moment. And to enhance all of that first party data that we've got, we have also built machine learning models that can take those audiences that we know are performing well for you and then build out lookalike models to make sure that we're really kind of driving that reach and scale to other relevant users. So primarily, this is something that we've tested with all of our app partners who are looking at obviously a much more performance-led strategy. They want people to click into the app and watch the content on our TVs.
Yeah.
So we're able to look at those users who are clicking into app, who are spending a lot of time in the apps watching their content, and then build out a lookalike model based on their core traits and characteristics, so we can kind of look to go and then target those.
Okay. And TV used to be, like linear TV used to be, you have to have enormous budgets, you need to plan it far in advance. But with CTV and the sort of the way that the market's going, basically, it feels to me that a really local company with relatively small budgets could get involved with TV. Do you see it becoming a vehicle for local advertisers in time? Once the scale gets to the point where pretty much everyone's watching via CTV, you could imagine that a really top restaurant in let's say somewhere in Surrey could basically target people within a 30-mile radius that have a particular subset of apps on their phone, and it'll be relatively inexpensive for them to do that, but still quite impactful because they've typically TV's been beyond them until now.
I think that's a really interesting question, and it's absolutely something that is feasible right now. You've got to look at that scale that you're getting to work out if it's going to be worthwhile for you or for your company. You say that we're getting to a position where everyone's going to have a connected TV. In my view, we're already there. You'd struggle to walk into Currys or the likes of and buy what I'd call a dumb TV. Every TV now is connected to the internet. You've got your apps there. And that's where I think a nice kind of analogy is you wouldn't say, oh, I've got my smartphone. You're just like, oh, I've got my mobile. And it's the same with TV. You don't say, I'm going to go home and watch smart TV.
No.
You go home and you turn the TV on.
To consumer, yeah.
Same as you don't sit there and go, oh, am I going to watch linear? Am I going to watch an SVOD app or a BVOD app? You just find the content you want to watch. And that's where I think as an industry, we need to shift our mindset. It is just TV, and we need to be working out where our users are on that TV to make sure we're engaging them at the relevant moments. If you're looking at a more localized advertiser, what's fantastic about Samsung, again, because we've got that first party data, is that we know where the TV is right down to that kind of postcode level. So we could implement something like that to you. My question would just be the scale.
Yeah, of course. Excellent. Well, Lauren, that's been fascinating. Thank you so much for your time. Thank
Pleasure.
you again, once again, for hosting this amazing location. And thanks very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.